Welcome, young journalists. Today we're going to talk about basic page design principles. We'll talk more about page design in depth later, but today we want to talk about 4 basic page design principles, and you're going to get to try your hand at designing a fake page on Adobe's InDesign CS5. First, let's talk about the design principles themselves. First, we have lead or dominant art. The second page design principle is secondary art. The third is copy. And the last page design principle we'll talk about today is alternative copy. Let's start with lead or dominant art. Now, when we talk about art, what we mean is the lead image, photo, artwork, graphic. Sometimes it can even be a font or a certain type of typeset that really leads the reader's eye to the page. We can see here in this spread done for the North Star publication, a high school from Francis High North in St. Charles, Missouri, that the lead dominant art is obviously the senior baseball player who's heading off to college, a nice portrait photo of him there. This is the lead art for the story. We're also going to talk about secondary art. A quality page or a design spread always has some secondary art that the eye can go to after the lead art. We can see in this particular spread called the Daily Rhythm from the Trojan Tribune at Wazata High School in Plymouth, Missouri. The lead art is the headphones and even the graphic text, the Daily Rhythm. But we have some secondary art on this page here, here, and here. Secondary art is an opportunity to tell more of the story and incorporate more images, photos, and artwork. Next, we're going to talk about copy. Let's look at this spread from Rock Canyon High School just down the road in Highlands Ranch. We can see copy in the story both here and here. Copy is, you're right, you guessed it, the actual story itself, the text that the reporter has written after the research and finding the sources, and the edited text that appears in the spread. Let's take a look at this spread for a little bit longer. Can you identify where the lead art is? How about the secondary art? The last basic design principle we're going to talk about today is alternative copy. Alternative copy or alternative story forms is a different way to tell a story. A way to tell a story that is not necessarily by just using text. In other words, it's not just an article. We can see some quality alternative copy here from this spread from the Muse newspaper. Comes out of Dreyfus School of the Arts from West Palm Beach, Florida. Alternative copy is right here. It is a way to tell the story in a different way than telling it with text. We also see in this spread, of course, plenty of text, but the alternative copy or a storytelling device helps us to look at the story in a different way. In this case, it's a graphic about cheating, the percent of students that have been reported, have been caught, or haven't cheated. And we can learn more about the story through this visual representation of alternative copy. Now let's take a look at this page from Langley High School. All of these pages, by the way, are National Scholastic Press Association finalists for Design of the Year just this year. Let's take a look at this feature spread from Langley about a dream school, changing the face of Langley, a story about some new building projects that they have on campus. Can you identify the lead or dominant art in this spread? You're right, it's right there. A couple of nice shots, before and after shots of the high school, coupled with some nice text headline. We also have some secondary art in this spread, right here and right here. Can you see where the copy is? You got it. There's the copy, the actual story. This page actually has two areas with copy. We get a opinion weigh-in on the right side of the page here. So we have a couple of opportunities for copy on this page. Finally, can you see where the alternative copy is, or the storytelling devices? There's a couple of them. A top 5 list and a quick facts box. This page from Langley has all of the basic elements of design. I want to take a look now at a publication out of Fordham College in New York. It is actually the Rosehill publication premier issue, and it was put together by Mr. Waganka, Michael Waganka, who's one of our Jesuit scholastics, teaches at the girls division and the boys division this year. Maybe some of you have Mr. Waganka in class. While he was studying at Fordham University, he had the opportunity to be lead editor for this first premier issue of their news magazine. Let's take a look at some of the work he did and see if we can identify the 4 basic design principles we talked about. I want to take a look at this story first. A story about a professor at the college. We can see that it's a 2-page spread, and it certainly has all the elements of basic design. We have the lead art here, which is a nice staged photo of some books. We have the copy, the actual story itself. Secondary art, which is a photo of the professor. And we even have some alternative copy here where we can learn about the professor in a way that we don't necessarily do in the article, but in a photo caption. Here's another great spread. A sushi review, probably a hot spot next to the campus where students like to eat. We can see the lead art here, the dominant art. We can see secondary art in several places along the page, as they've taken photos of the different kinds of sushi and done reviews on each. The copy itself, what we read about each kind of sushi. And we even have some alternative copy here underneath the photo as a caption. Here's the cover story, a nice dominant image, plenty of copy for the cover story. A secondary image on the back side. Let's look at one more. Here's a good example, actually. Let me go back. Here's a great example of lead art that is actually art. It doesn't always have to be photos. Find a friend of yours that's an artist, or talk to the art class, or acquire some art from somebody that you know can draw cartoons or can do a staged piece of art for you, for your story. Let's take a look at one more story towards the back. Here it is, Interview with a Jesuit. This is another great example of a spread that has all of the basic design elements. We have the dominant or lead image here, a environmental portrait of the Jesuit next to his classroom. We have copy. We have our secondary image here. Looks like maybe the time at which he was ordained. And we have a pull-out quote here that's acting as sort of a caption, which looks like a caption. It's actually a pull-out quote, and that can offer another opportunity for what we call alternative text, a way to find out more about the story that's not necessarily in the primary copy. So you're going to have a task today, and you're going to get a chance to take a look at InDesign, which is the program we use, which we'll open together in a minute. But your assignment is going to create a fake news page, a 1-page news magazine spread that includes all of the following: some lead or dominant art, one lead or dominant piece of art, secondary art, and you can just use images from Google for your art for this fake magazine spread. Have some fun with it. Copy. You won't actually need to write it, but I'll show you how you can fill it in with placeholder text. You'll just show us where you want it to go. And alternative copy. So you can create some boxes and say, well, this is where I'm going